This meeting is being recorded.
Hi, my name's Richard and I'm one of the clinical psychologists at SAANS, and I've come to talk to you today about managing your social battery. So this is an idea, whether you've been confirmed as autistic or maybe on the waiting list for an assessment, that you could think about in order to balance your life and better manage your energy levels and therefore stress levels. So this is the idea that, all of us have a limited amount of energy to deal with the difficulties in day-to-day life. Unfortunately, autistic people appear to have even less energy to deal with these difficulties, but also many more factors that drain their energy. So on the left side, we have our drainers. So for autistic people, we find that any kind of social interaction can really drain their energy. This could be especially so in a group, and especially so if there's no structure to the interaction as well. And along with that, social interaction often involves communicating with people, and particularly difficult and draining forms of communication could involve group conversations, trying to make small talk, dealing with conflict. So there are more factors that will drain your battery. And then general unpredictability can also be a big drainer of the battery too. So this can include having to go along with plans at short notice, having plans that you're expecting to happen in a certain way suddenly changed or cancelled. That can be draining, as your brain has to work really hard to deal with the new circumstances. Changes to your routine can be a big drainer, and also interruptions if you're in the middle of something can really drain your battery too. And there might be lots of sensory stressors that drain your battery. So these could include loud noises, lots of noises at once, high-pitched noises, trying to filter out background noises. Could be certain kinds of light that are too bright or the wrong colour. Could be trying to deal with a busy environment where there's too many visual details to handle at once. Strong smells, or people getting too close to you, having to deal with certain textures or fabrics that are really stressful, or feeling too hot, too cold, etc. And then day-to-day stresses can also drain your battery. So these could be worries about the future, upsetting memories of the past, self-critical thoughts. These are all other things that you might experience that drain your battery too. And so once the battery is drained of energy, we see people's, their fatigue levels increase, but then eventually, once the battery is completely drained, people are very prone to emotional outbursts and meltdowns, or just have to shut down and stop having any energy to communicate. So luckily, there's a lot of recharges that can build the battery back up. So one of the major ones that people find is very useful is spending time by themselves, and away from everybody, so there's no interaction or communication to be had. Not so much a recharger, but something that can help at least slow the drain of the battery is different forms of communication. So often people find that electronic communication is better for them, to give them a chance to recharge their battery, communicating via text message or some other instant messaging. Gives people time to read what people have said to them, reread it if they need, have a think about what it means, and then draft and maybe redraft messages back can use emojis to understand other people's emotional states or communicate their own. Generally, communication is slowed down and a lot clearer, which is really helpful for autistic people. Predictability and routine is really helpful. So if people can stick to places that they know, that no one else is going to come in and interrupt them, or being able to stick to a routine is really helpful too, to recharge. And spending time with your interests as well is a really strong recharger. So that might be reading books, playing video games, watching DVDs, TV shows, knitting, could be anything. Spending time with animals can actually be something that's a strong interest, but also a really nice form of interaction with something too. And sensory soothing activities can be added into any of these recharges. So it might be ensuring that the lighting is right, maybe dim lighting, or the right colour lighting, going somewhere quiet or listening to the right music or like nature sounds, birds, rainfall, having something nice to stroke or fidget with, being under a heavyweight blanket. For some people this can be exercise as well, whether it be walking, running, weight training. Yes, lots of different forms of exercise. Swimming is a good one too. And then just anything that people find calming can help recharge the battery. So this could be using breathing techniques that you've learnt, mindfulness, any psychological technique that you might have learnt in therapy can slowly help recharge the battery. However, if time is spent in too much isolation, with too much routine and too much time with the interests, and the battery is full all the time, then this often means that people are living a life that is quite restricted and ultimately might be quite depressing. So it really shows that life for autistic people, and for all of us really, is a fine balance between having plenty of recharges so we're not fatigued and exhausted and suffering high levels of stress, but also living a life that's full of things that are valuable to us, whether it be spending time with other people, going out in the world and providing some kind of contribution to society, and engaging with hobbies and interests that might be outside the home. So please have a go. Have a think about what in your life is really draining you at the moment, and what in your life you can increase to recharge your energy levels. You might want to think and prepare for very stressful, draining events coming up. Anything from a trip to the supermarket, to a job interview, to a wedding can really be draining. So how can you ensure that you have as much energy as possible in preparation? How have you recharged and spent time alone beforehand, to give yourself the best possible chance of coping with those difficult situations? And then how are you going to recuperate afterwards, so that your life has these draining activities spread out, so you can better manage your energy levels? Are you going to have to take half a day to yourself after a big event in order to get back to a manageable energy level? Or when you're in the big event, how can you make it less draining? How can the communication be adapted for you? So maybe you're just talking to one person rather than a group. you're spending time in an environment that isn't really draining, the lighting is better, there's less background noise, etc. Or how can you take regular breaks to have little bits of recharging time where you find somewhere quiet to hide away from people for 5, 10, 15 minutes on a regular basis so that you can keep coming out and dealing with the stress of social interaction with people. So I hope that's been helpful for you, and good luck trying it out.